Remo, we have some news. We put it on YouTube. It was all over Twitter, Facebook, etc., Reddit. ESL and Dreamhack announce the Pro Tour. $200,000, 5 offline events, a World Championship for Warcraft 3 Reforged.
That's pretty sick, man. That's outstanding news, you know. Last couple of years, it really was all centered on the Asian market, on China. But now, ESL and Dreamhack are getting involved. And not just for like a tournament or two, but for 3 years. I think that's the most amazing thing. 3 years commitment being announced right away.
I'm not sure if that's true, actually. Like, the press release, maybe it's the pessimist in me, but the press release says it's a 3-year deal between ESL and Dreamhack and Blizzard, but it doesn't say specifically that it's a 3-year commitment to these two games. And I asked Apollo on Twitter, and he didn't comment on it, but every other question he answered.
Okay. That would be pretty false advertising, because on the ESL Pro Tour page for Warcraft 3, it literally says 3 years.
Where?
Just scroll down, and there's one tour, one story, and then the thing that's the text that keeps on going in and out.
Here we go. Okay, I'm on it. I haven't seen this yet or paid no attention to this. One tour, one story, one ranking, $200,000 prize money. 3 years. Damn! Okay.
So there could be a way to weasel out of this, saying like after, well, we only meant a 3-year plan with Blizzard, but that would be kind of a scumbag thing to do. It does look here like it's a 3-year commitment to Warcraft.
Okay, that was my biggest fear, actually. That it's just 1 year for the Reforged hype and then they switch to whatever there is, Hearthstone, maybe? I don't know. But what I find interesting is that ESL is kind of building an RTS monopoly. Because what else is there? There's no WCS anymore because that was replaced with a Pro Tour. That must be the biggest thing for Warcraft 3 Reforged as well, because who's going to put more than $200,000 into this game, if not Blizzard or ESL? There's no other big player in the West, at least.
In the West, yeah.
I mean, China, we don't really know, but that's a different thing, I guess. So it's pretty interesting that a lot of people say that RTS is dead, and ESL is investing so heavily into it.
What I would love to know is, did ESL specifically ask for the Warcraft deal, or did Blizzard shoehorn it in? Were they like, well, you're gonna get StarCraft, but we also want you to take Warcraft?
I mean,
at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We have Warcraft for apparently 3 years with what seems to me like a really good prize pool. And then I read the news from Malistrix, and it was like a very moderate prize pool. And I thought to myself, bro, you haven't been here these last couple of years. This is a pretty damn good prize pool.
It's pretty much a $2 million prize pool, and Warcraft 3 gets only 10% of that. So it is very moderate in comparison to StarCraft. But of course, StarCraft is way bigger. But it's not like they know it's going to be a huge deal and immediately put 500,000 into it or half of it or something. I think that's good for the first season because it grows the scene more naturally. We've seen the prize pool increasing in the past 2 years, especially by NetEase, when the WGL prize pool increased from 16,000 first to 60,000 and then 70,000. And now it's 25,000 per stop and I guess 100,000 per championship. So the growth is steady, but it's not this huge peak, which I think is very, very healthy for the scene.
Yeah, I wonder also if this is going to remain consistent throughout all 3 years, or if this is going to change, or if this is subject to reception, depending on how sponsors are going to view the success, depending on how many fans are going to be involved, stuff like that, you know?
The prize money distribution for the 3 years is a little worrying to me as well. Where was this?
So?
Where was this number? Because it's a 3-year deal, as we said, and the first year is already $2 million prize pool. Didn't they announce the entire prize money? Oh yeah, 4.6 million total prize money for the 3 years. So the first year's already 2 million.
Yeah.
And then it can only go down from there, or they increase the prize pool later. So from this 4.6 million, this is pretty much almost 50% of the entire prize money for the 3-year deal, but in the first year only.
Makes kind of sense marketing-wise. You could want to come out with a bang. But yeah, it is somewhat worrying. I agree. It has been confirmed that all of the prize money is supplied by Blizzard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So theoretically, it could be possible that ESL will later on chip in themselves with sponsor money to, remain or to retain the same amount of total prize money,
That could be true.
For each season.
Another way of boosting things is, of course, something like war chests that they have in StarCraft. Loot boxes, basically.
Oh, yeah. They must be doing that for StarCraft at least, right? They've been doing that for WCS all this time.
Yeah, but now with Blizzard not being involved anymore, we don't know how big the staff is. I mean, the development of the war chest must come from Blizzard, right? Yep. So it would be a great way to do it.
But I mean, what else do they have to do? Basically nothing. They only have to balance nowadays and do war chest. That's it. And do their commanders.
True.
Hi to Monk from Team Liquid.
Yeah, that is...
So like development-wise, I mean, obviously we're not game developers, but it sounds pretty light. It doesn't sound like it's so much to do. And of course, Blizzard is kind of backing out of StarCraft, which is sad. But they will certainly still have some development effort. And I mean, they have to do something.
I think so too. They won't drop it entirely. Like we saw it at Heroes of the Storm when they canceled the entire esport without replacement, but they still implemented new heroes. Like, it is a very small team, but they still work on it. It's not like they abandoned this entirely.
I wonder if the Heroes debacle, everything getting canceled and stuff, was a blessing in disguise for RTS. Like, if Blizzard hadn't gotten all of this backlash for how they handled Heroes, would they have still gone forward with such a positive deal with ESL? Maybe not.
True. True. So what I think we are most hyped about is 5 offline events in the West, with 3 of them being announced. It's gonna be Anaheim in 1.5 months already. It's gonna be Jönköping in Sweden for Dreamhack, and Rotterdam as well. The 4th one, I am pretty sure it's gonna be at Gamescom, because it's the only ESL event that is not listed. It's in August.
Yeah.
ESL is in Cologne. Gamescom is in Cologne. It just makes so much sense to do it in Cologne.
Yeah. Also, the other stops like Rotterdam is like it's like a technology expo or something, right?
Okay.
And Anaheim, I don't know, but normally, or oftentimes at least, ESL events are surrounded by a bigger kind of expo event. That's how...
Isn't Rotterdam just a Dreamhack?
I think I read something. Wait, where is that? Rotterdam?
I think it's just a Dreamhack.
Now, Dreamhack Rotterdam 2020 is part of Rotterdam Games Week.
Ah, all right.
And will take place at Rotterdam Ahoy, which is a great name.
Yeah, and then the finals. I wonder where they are then. That's the last thing that we kind of don't know.
Yeah. It could be possible that there's a cooperation going on with Blizzcon. Would be weird though, because normally that's all Blizzard exclusive, apart from like 1 or 2 Corsair little stands kind of thing. Normally there's not big cooperation with other partners as far as I am aware.
Did they schedule the final already? It's just the end of 2020. Yeah. It could be BlizzCon actually.
Would be the coolest thing, would certainly fit the best, and would have the most hype, and would make most sense fan base wise. But how does it work out with the business? Is Blizzard willing to share the venue? Are they willing to let, kind of rivalry into the house? Stuff like that.
Also, seeing how they handled the last WCS at BlizzCon, I don't know if that's the best thing. It's also then very limited to like 2 days with audience. They could do games prior to the actual BlizzCon dates, but it would be limited to 2 days in front of an audience at BlizzCon. So
yeah,
I don't know if I like it too much. I mean, it would be cool.
It would be weird, because if it was BlizzCon, it would be ESL staff doing the production and having their team there. So you would have to share a stage with ESL, but only when they have their events. When it's not their time slot, then your production takes over, unless you want to give ESL a whole stage, a whole hall, which would sound pretty extreme.
Yeah.
Could be doable. It's a huge ass place. We've been there 2 times now. There's a lot of space. So maybe, but yeah, and I didn't even realize this before. Yeah, August 2020. That definitely looks like Gamescom.
That absolutely looks like Gamescom.
Oh, dude, we're gonna sweat so much.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying we're invited as casters.
No.
I certainly haven't been approached yet. But if it's at Gamescom, I'm definitely going, no matter if I'm casting or not.
Yeah, I'm like, that goes for all of the European events for me as well. Like, we haven't heard anything, so we're not booked. We're not sure if we can cast it or not. But I posted this on Twitter as well. It's so great for the scene, and I wouldn't be like, of course I would be a little devastated, but it would be great to be there just as a content creator, just to be there and enjoy games and enjoy Warcraft 3 esports. I would definitely go to Sweden for Dreamhack. I would definitely go to Rotterdam. It's not that far from Hamburg and easy to reach.
Yeah.
And then Gamescom, yeah, of course.
I hadn't decided on this before, but now it does make a lot of sense. Come on, like, how many Warcraft tournaments do we have? Like, no matter if I get hired or not. Normally, by the way, I'm not the person who gets, too upset when I don't get hired. But if this whole Pro Tour thing, concludes, and I haven't been to at least 2 of the stops, I'm gonna be pretty sad, honestly.
Well, you can do community streams for the qualifiers, Remo. Come on, it's not that bad.
Yeah, maybe ESL is gonna provide me a server or something.
Yeah, it would be. I'm pretty sure we'll get hired, but
and in chat saying that him and the boys, X-Lord and Juan, are certainly gonna be at all the European events as well. It's gonna be cool. And
nice.
Looking forward to seeing you again.
Trip.
Got to get the practice in. Hell yeah.
So, there is a point system in place for this ESL Pro Tour. It works, as far as I understand, it works like this. For each challenger stop, for each offline event, there's qualifiers, regional qualifiers. We don't know the regions yet, but I guess it's going to be like the Blizzard servers. America, Europe, C, and China would make sense. It's 16 players, or 16 invites, right? Per stop?
Yeah.
Okay. So 4 per region would make sense, or
well,
however
not
they
invites, but qualifiers.
Yeah, qualifiers. And then you get the travel paid for that. You can still go to the events without being qualified, but then you have to pay the travel yourself. That's how it usually works for Dreamhack events. And then you gather points. The winners of the challenger tournaments are automatically qualified for the main event at the end of the year. That could be interesting. Like, if there's one big surprise at the first challenger event in February, and then it's 9 months until the World Championship. That's a long time.
What's your point? I don't get it.
Like, we've seen players disappear from the scene here and there.
Okay.
If you win the tournament in February, then you qualify automatically for a tournament in, let's say, November. So it's 9 months from qualifying to the actual tournament.
That's like a long commitment that the Warcraft community isn't really used to.
Yeah.
Also, if a player wins in February, like, the chances of him being not so good in November aren't too bad.
True. Or if the balance changes, like we've seen this a lot.
We're expecting to patch aggressively.
No, let's say, or as an example, let's take Moon's performance from the Keeper WGL, which was it, Winter 18, right? I think, where he was so dominant, and then a year later, he didn't make it out of the group stage. A patch can change a lot, even though the player is great. So
yeah. Or even more devastating was Foggy. Man, he like totally fell off the cliff.
Yeah. I didn't want to take him as an example because then he gets hate again. But yeah, kind of cool.
But he's getting better again. He's starting to look like certainly a top 3 player in Europe again. Pretty much beating everyone.
I was quite surprised that he beat Thorzane, I think, in the top tag team tournament. But yeah. How do you like the system in general, though? We don't know too much about the point distribution, right? But so far, sounds good to me.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't see anything silly about it yet. What I think is really cool is that it's all open tournaments. So top 16 players get invited, get paid for their travel and stuff. That is cool. But it's not only those 16. Everyone can come. Everyone can play. And that's really cool. Could be a great LAN atmosphere. Could be a great opportunity for players to meet up and, you know, have a bit of a bonding moment as well, and not just sit at home and play online and all that stuff. So that I think is one of the coolest things that we, not even in China, have ever had. Like open tournaments offline.
True.
That's the first thing in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Which I'm really looking forward to. I'm sure Kevin Schwem is going to show up and the boys. And other than that,
especially the European events, like Anaheim, I'm a little worried that it's too soon. You need visa/ESTA for it. For the Russians, that could be an issue for sure, or the CIS region.
Yeah, some of the players have already told me, like, it's not so easy getting visa to America, so time's ticking, kind of.
Yeah. And also for the Chinese, this will be interesting. For the first time, they kind of have to leave China, right?
Yeah. And I wonder how ESL is going to handle that, because ESL have no idea about netties. So hopefully some good admins are going to be put in place. I've heard some good admins are on the way, which is good.
Okay. For the Western events, you mean? Or for China?
Well, from what I understand, there's going to be qualifier possibilities for all regions, right? So that should include China.
Yes. So what have you heard, like, which admins are going to be involved for China?
Well, I don't want to put anyone on the spot in case they don't want to go through with it. Okay. But yeah, some that we know from the scene. Don't know if they're necessarily going to be handling China as well, but I would have assumed that ESL admins are going to handle all ESL qualifiers and events and everything. Maybe they're going to delegate. Maybe they're going to give over some of that to the Chinese.
I mean, they have an office in China, right? Isn't like one of the two founders, I don't really remember which one. He's in China since forever.
Oh, really?
For like,
I wasn't aware.
I think about like for 10 years or so. I'm pretty sure like they have Extreme Masters in China now, right? Like,
yeah, in Chengdu, there's usually something. Don't they have an ESL 1 nowadays as well?
Yeah, they did something big recently. I'm not too sure. Like, it wasn't part of a convention, but it was like a single ESL event in China. So that was pretty big. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they can handle this. And I am really happy that it's in the hands of ESL and Dreamhack. It's not this esports team of Blizzard that... No, let me explain. We met a couple of them, and they are great people, but it's right now a very small staff in the esports team, right?
In the Classics esports team especially.
In the Classics esports team especially, but the entire esports team, with the departures of last year, is pretty damn small. So it always was like a part of something at Blizzard, and they did their best for sure. But here is two companies that do this 24/7, 365. They have so much experience. They're so dedicated. It's their product. It's not like, okay, we're doing this tournament to promote our games. It's like, this is our product. We have to make it big to make it a success because we rely on the income or on the sponsorship and stuff. So also for social media, TLO said this yesterday at the Pylon show or 2 days ago, that the social media support from Blizzard about their esports was improvable, I would say. So just getting the word out with the ESL accounts and with the Dreamhack accounts, this will just be a lot better than what Blizzard did. I mean, they forgot to mention StarCraft during BlizzCon on their social accounts. Like,
yeah, they got quite a bit of criticism for the whole StarCraft show. A lot of people weren't too satisfied. I don't want to be too, mean or anything, but yeah, it did seem like Blizzard was a little bit complacent with production these last couple of months. Like, there was nothing really new, nothing really so cool. At the WCS, we were there in the stadium. In the breaks, they had no content. It was just a timer running down. And that's the World Championship. That's not normally the way it's supposed to be anymore. And yeah, I echo your sentiment here. Blizzard did it kind of because they promoted the game, but also because they had to. It was their game. They couldn't just leave it out to dry. But Dreamhack and ESL, this is their product. This is how they make money. This is going to be monetized as well. This is going to be a sponsor involved, which I think is a good thing. That is the only natural way that esports can work out in the long run, unless you're a Valve and you have the compendium and make millions of dollars that way. But otherwise, sponsors do need to get involved, and that's also cool for the game. Maybe with ESL being the stepping stone, sponsors are going to start looking towards Reforged again.
Yeah,
that is greatly going to depend on viewer reception, on stream numbers, on player entries, and all that stuff.
I mean, we were able to get AMD, so with the sales staff of ESL, they might have a shot with other companies as well. What I'm looking forward to, like, kind of the most, except from possibly casting it, is the production. We've both been to ESL events for Dota, and it looks so good. The stage is so awesome. The features they have, oh my god. And that, like, on a smaller scale, transferred to Warcraft with some player introductions, with from what I've heard and read, they do have a lot more creative freedom producing this event. So I think it would go more towards a Dota event of some sorts, with backstage interviews, with little clips about the players. And seeing all that with players like Lawlion or Neutron or whoever, like these entertaining personalities we have in the scene, this is going to be a dream coming true for me.
Yeah. Totally agree. This is, I think, the number one thing that the community lacks, or the scene rather lacks, is getting to see the players as personalities.
Yeah.
We have been watching them for years, but mostly it's about their gameplay. We have rarely seen them as human beings. And we sometimes go to China and we see them in person, and we have somewhat of insight, towards how they are. But how is the viewer up until now supposed to get an idea of what the player is like, of what the person is like?
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree. I hope with the ESL production, there's going to be more opportunities to see the person and not just the player.
Little news about the weekly cups that are announced. Like, I think they will name it Go for Warcraft 3 because it's the StarCraft the StarCraft tournaments are named Go for StarCraft 2, and Go for Warcraft 3 was a tournament series at the very beginning of Warcraft. So I'm pretty sure that Go for Warcraft 3 is coming back. Compared to StarCraft, it's only going to be European Cups for the European region, and there's no points for the Pro League ranking. So that's a little different. They don't.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought they were going to include that as well because of the whole one tour, one story kind of thing. It feels like they want to, everything to build up towards the championship.
Yeah. So that's not happening.
Wait, for the Go for Warcraft Cups, you don't get points for qualifying for the offline events?
Yes.
So how do you get points to qualify for the offline events?
From the challenger tournaments.
No, but you get points to get invited to the challenger tournaments.
You don't get invited to the challenger. You just sign up for the challenger tournaments. It's open for everyone. For the regional qualifiers. So for the challenger tournaments, okay, let's put it on the screen.
Wait.
Okay, we have 4 challenger tournaments and 1 main event, right? For each challenger tournament, there's going to be regional qualifiers. So we need another line here for like 4 regional qualifiers, most likely. And at the challenger tournaments.
Yeah, I thought the Go for Warcraft cups were part of the qualifiers.
No, it's not. It's completely separated. You gain points for the Warcraft 3 Championship at challenger events, and the Go for Warcraft weekly cups are completely separated from this entire World Championship thing at the moment.
I think it would be cool if they provided points for being qualified for the challenger events. Is that what they're called? Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know the point distribution, but from what I've heard from the StarCraft guys, they are very, very happy with how their system works, and they constantly praise Apollo, who is like the director of all of this, like
he has been,
a legit god.
He has been deified. He has been turned into Jesus Christ crucified. It's been some pretty funny memes have popped up.
Yeah, that was real good. So with the greatest people like Artosis and like the other StarCraft guys who are so experienced and have been through so much, they praising this system so much, that gives me a very good feeling about the entire system. It's not going to be like WGL last season where, let's invite some people.
That was fun, wasn't it?
It was.
So in StarCraft, what do the Go for StarCraft Cups award?
Money and points, but very like little points.
For what? For qualifying to the challenger events.
For the main event, like you have like ranking points.
The overall points. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But it's probably a very, very low amount, right?
Yeah, it's like if you win every single weekly cup, it's as much as a second place in a major tournament or something. But
that sounds kind of fair.
I think so too.
It's only online cup.
Yeah.
Idea is that everyone can play and have a tournament weekly. Yeah, that's already cool.
I think we discussed pretty much everything that is out there. And now it's time for you to ask some questions. I think 5 minutes of questions, and then we have a little break to get some food in. And then it's time for the Huya Super League. So the matches start in like 20 minutes. We had some highlights here. Maybe I can catch up on that.
What's the normal Huya starting time then, by the way, for tomorrow and the day after?
I don't know. I will ask.
All right. We're going to figure that out for you guys later on.
How do we get the ESL to hire you? Well, they have social media. You have social media. Do the math. Let's have this Q&A about the Pro Tour. And not about our personal lives. That would be nice, guys. Or did we cover pretty much everything?
I think so. You have enlightened me on some of the intricacies, Neo. Thank you very much.
Question by Dennis. Are you free to play every Challenger event? I thought if you're from Europe, you can only play the European Challenger. No, that would defeat the purpose, I guess. You are free to play everything, everywhere. I guess there's going to be region lock on the regional qualifiers, obviously. So if you're from Europe, you play the European regional qualifier for the Challenger event. But you can still go and play the open bracket. Maybe we should showcase this a little, like how Dreamhack tournaments usually work in StarCraft. Because yes, there are qualifiers, and the qualifier pretty much means you get seeded to a higher stage and you get your travel paid, but you can still go to, let's say, Dreamhack Sweden or Dreamhack Rotterdam and participate in the open bracket. So everybody is free to go to the offline events.
I wonder if some of the Chinese are going to do that. Because that's something that, because, you know, if you just go freely by yourself, then of course you have to pay for hotel and flight.
Mm-hmm.
And normally that's not something that organizations or players are used to nowadays, because normally the tournament organizer always pays for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see, you know, TH and the boys coming over for Rotterdam or whatever.
Yeah, I guess they will qualify anyway. Like if they get 4 slots, for example, it's pretty likely that they will qualify. There's a good point here on Twitter by, who was it? It's a little far down the road. A viewer of ours is asking if the Chinese are willing to go, because, okay, here it is, Mr. Mirror. One of my fear is that streaming is so important for the Chinese players that if they attend the tournaments, they may not reach the minimum streaming hours in their contract because it takes so much time to travel. In that case, the challenger tournaments may not be as attractive as imagined.
Very good point. Yep.
Yes, I agree. That is a very good point.
And,
I don't know.
Very well informed as well. My goodness. Yeah, there is a lot of contracts for the more popular streamers have a minimum amount of hours. How much that is exactly, if there's exceptions to that, I don't know.
Yeah, it depends, I guess, how much they make from streaming. We don't really know about that. It's $25,000 per challenger stop. So it's pretty good, I would say. We don't know too much about the requirements on Huya and Doyu.
Might also have to do with the orgs. Like maybe for some reason, Newbie might get interested to have their players at a Dreamhack because they have this international draw.
Yeah.
From Rogue Warriors, I would not expect that too much. I think they're focused on the Chinese market.
For Newbie, I definitely would.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Newbie has this international experience and reach everywhere in Dota and with their other teams. So I could certainly see Lin and Lawlight flying over, which would be really cool. I mean, if they don't qualify anyways. And it's also a question, like which region is going to get how many slots? Is everyone going to get 4? Are the Americans going to get 4, you know? It's going to be interesting to see how that's handled. Not really easy to get right. Very easy to get wrong, that whole system.
We'll see about that. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date with every single bit of news that we can get about the ESL Pro Tour for Warcraft 3. And this is going to be the big focus point of Warcraft 3 now. Last thing, they call themselves the home of Warcraft 3 esports. Remo, are you offended by that? Because it's definitely us.
I mean, they have the official backing of Blizzard, so no, I think does make sense.
What a boring answer. That was just to end this Q&A. So, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. We'll keep you up to date. And we take a little break, and then we start into the Huya Super League. See you in a bit.